You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to our news. The headlines. State operatives harass HH in KASAMA as hundreds of residents cheer him on at court. NDC members turn to God in KAMBWILI'S judgment case on Wednesday. Government contains the deadly African migratory locusts. In international news, California probes fake ballot boxes after Republican admission. And in sports news, women's football back in Africa as COSAFA takes center stage. For the details, join me shortly after this break.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
With the details, my name is Liseli Kanyanga. Government says it has managed to contain the outbreak of the African migratory locust, which broke out in parts of western, central and southern provinces from spreading to other provinces. Agriculture Minister Michael Katambo Tuesday informed the media that a total of 10,397 hectares has so far been sprayed, with the locust population in spread areas showing a reduction of 85 to 95%. He says that government has stationed teams in the hotspots to stop further spread in affected areas. The minister has since cautioned that the outbreak of the migratory locust is serious and could affect the country's food security as well as the nation's crop and livestock production in the 2020-2021 agriculture season. Sharon Kalimbula reports.
Close to 3 months ago, the African migratory locust broke out in some parts of western, central and southern provinces. This threatened food security for the country, prompting quick government response under the Ministry of Agriculture. Updating the nation on this matter through the media, Tuesday, Agriculture Minister Michael Katambo says the situation has been prevented from spreading to other provinces. The minister says the locust population in sprayed areas has been reduced by about 85 to 95%.
In terms of the extent of the outbreak, I'm pleased to report that as of today, the ministry has not received any new reports indicating the presence of the African migratory locust in other parts of the country, except for those areas that were originally reported to have outbreaks of the locust in parts of western, central and southern provinces. This therefore means that for the current period, the outbreak is localized and that government's emergency response and efforts will remain focused and concentrated on controlling the outbreak within the 3 provinces of western, southern and central provinces. It is therefore very important to note that government is working very hard and has stationed teams in the hotspots of the western, southern and central provinces to stop the locusts from moving to other areas. With regard to the measures that are currently taking place to control the outbreak, I'm very pleased to report that government has so far procured services of a fixed-wing aircraft within the country, which has commenced aerial spraying and will continue to be used for the duration of the entire exercise. In addition to the fixed-wing aircraft, the Zambia Air Force and the International Red Locust Control Organization for Central and Southern Africa have also provided helicopters to support the operation. In this regard, the ministry is now satisfied that there is adequate aerial spraying vessels to conduct other operations. At the moment, however, I should state that the fixed-wing aircraft is currently awaiting the completion of the surveillance.
Meanwhile, Mr. Katambo has called on other countries to join in the emergency response in order for Zambia's control measures to be effective, owing to the fact that the African migratory locust is a trans-border issue.
As most of you are aware, the threat of the African migratory locust is a trans-boundary issue, and it is therefore requires other countries in the region to join in the emergency response. In order for Zambia's control measures to be effective, the information on the ground is that the swarms from neighboring Namibia are entering Zambia and are settling in areas that have already been sprayed. This definitely is an issue that is undermining our operation. However, we have since engaged the relevant authorities in Namibia, who have confirmed to us that they have commenced the spraying on their side of the border. Further, we also intend to call for a meeting with the Namibian authorities to coordinate our control efforts. In terms of our communication with Botswana, who are equally faced with the same challenge, we are yet to receive official communication. We are, however, hopeful that we will soon be able to get a response from Botswana, and we will be able to join forces to control the outbreak of the locust along our borders. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to commend the efforts of our multi-sectoral partners on this response, who include the Office of the Vice President and especially
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Anti-Corruption Commission, ACC, has arrested a biomedical technologist at Levi Mwanawasa University Teaching Hospital for corrupt practices involving suspected fake COVID-19 clearance certificates. ACC Public Relations Manager Timothy Mono confirmed this in a statement and identified the suspect as Kingsley Kakoma of Lusaka's Garden Compound. The suspect, age 35, has been charged with one count of corrupt practices contrary to Section 19(1) of the Anti-Corruption Act No. 3 of 2012. Mr. Mono explains that the arrest was in relation to illegal issuance of travelers' medical certification for COVID-19 contrary to the statutory instruments number 21 and number 22 under the Public Health Act. He said Kakoma was arrested after soliciting for 800 kwacha bribe from a student who was scheduled to travel for studies. He was found in possession of 2,250 cash and 5 blank COVID-19 clearance medical certificates, which were pre-signed, marked negative, and bore a stamp from the Zambia Institute of Public Health. The suspect was also in possession of 86 prevention solution tubes, 50 collection swabs, among other items. Mono further stated that the suspect had since been released on bond and would appear in court soon. And moving on in other news, the Human Rights Commission, through its chairperson, Madford Mwandanga, has called on the police command to take action over the death of Frank Mugala, the 14-year-old boy who was shot dead by police officers in Lusaka's Chazanga compound during a police operation to disperse rioters. According to an investigation report by the rights body, the commission says the death of the young boy cannot be reasonably justified and does not fall within the legal premises circumstances. Mr. Mwandanga says Mugala was brutally killed by the police in gross deprivation of his right to life. The commission has since called for an inquest to be held in order to identify the police officer who shot the 14-year-old boy and the family to be compensated. We have more in this report.
The Human Rights Commission says it has completed independent investigations over the death of Frank Mugala, a grade 8 pupil at Chazanga Basic School, who was killed by a police officer during an operation conducted by Zambia Police on the 13th of February 2020. At only 14 years old, Mugala met his fate when a stray bullet fired by one of the officers hit him and died on the spot. The officers were trying to disperse residents who were rioting after rumors went round that individuals suspected of being involved in ritual killings through gassing and suspecting victims with unknown chemicals were hiding at the school. According to the investigative report, it noted the violation of the right of life guaranteed under Article 12 of the Bill of Rights under the country's constitution, Chapter 1 of the laws of Zambia, and how it was not justifiable for the police officers to use live ammunition on the alleged protesters. The report also questioned on whether the use of force was authorized by a superior officer, proclaiming the situation as a riot requiring the use of firearm in compliance with Section 77 and 78 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia. And the Commission's chairperson, Madford Mwandenga, says the Commission has observed with deep sense of regret a growing pattern of cases of extrajudicial killings of individuals by the police service. He explains that it is sad to note that the law enforcement officers can take away one's life without being sanctioned. Mr. Mwandenga retaliated that Mugala was brutally shot dead by a state agent, and justice must be done to ensure that perpetrators of the human rights violations are punished in accordance with the law. The Commission is since calling on the police command to take action, and in an event that it does not do so, an inquest must be held in line with the provision of Section 4 and 28 of the Inquest Act, Chapter 36 of the laws of Zambia, in order to establish the identity of the officer responsible for killing Mugala. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Women from various political parties Tuesday morning donated assorted items to Kalingalinga Clinic Labour Ward. Speaking on behalf of the women, Caroline Mambo says the donation is aimed at building unity among women of various belongings. The nurse in charge of the ward, Teresa Piri, says the items will be given to the needy in the ward. Here's a report.
A group of political party women-led group has donated assorted items to Kalingalinga Clinic Labour Ward specifically, whose aim is to touch the lives of new mothers in need. Among the donated items include chitenge materials, soaps, foodstuffs, and other sanitation materials. Speaking on behalf of the women, Caroline Mambo says the women have a collective effort to meet the needs of those in need without any expectation.
What we believe in is that we are all women and we should preach peace. Because when we talk of peace from our homes as mothers, our children are not going to indulge themselves in fighting each other, because we believe we are one people. So we don't have much to give, but half a loaf of bread is better than none. So we thought of our mothers who are giving birth in the maternity wing. We brought them chitenge wrappers, we brought them wipes, baby wipes, cotton wool, we brought bath soap, and we brought sugar, we brought toilet papers, and juice drink. After giving birth, you need to have a drink. With this is not the last time. You shall be seeing more of us. This is just the beginning. But the emphasis on local women in politics.
Receiving the donated items, ward in charge Teresa Piri notes that sometimes women who come to deliver babies completely have no capacity to buy food, adding that the foodstuffs donated will help them stay nourished at least for some time.
I'd like to say thank you for this gesture. As women in politics, you've shown a very great gesture for bringing this donation to us. Indeed, these women who come to deliver in our facility, they encounter a lot of problems. Others have no washing powder, others they come hungry, and as you know, when they come to deliver, they need the energy. So you brought them the sugar, the juice, so that as they await delivery, they have energy. And of course, I promise to you that this donation, it will be used, on the patients. It's for a good cause. And we hope that it will not end here. Even in the near future, we will expect you to bring more for us.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Several participants at the just-ended National Matters Agriculture Conference held in Kitwe has been described as an eye-opener to what Zambia can be if it embraces and utilizes the agriculture sector to its full potential. Last week, Camnet TV held a National Matters Conference in Kitwe with a focus on agriculture empowerment under the theme Unlocking Zambia's Potential through Rising a Generation of generational thinkers. The conference was aimed at awakening the potential in people and not to be dependent on working for others. Here's a report.
Agriculture is usually proclaimed by the powers that be as an alternative for the country's economic recovery. Zambia, being a country that has mainly depended on copper and its decline in market value, many people have been thrown under the poverty line. It is in this vein that Camnet TV, through their chairman, Pastor Moses Chiluba, has been holding the National Matters conferences, with the recent one being on the Copper Belt. Pastor Moses and Victoria Chiluba welcomed the attendees of the conference with a word of encouragement.
Poverty is the state of mind. If a person believes that inechalipwa nifinofine shakafike patali, you can't change their mentality. You can't change their mentality. But if you believe that you can go far, I want you to know that you will go far.
So it's up to us to open our spirits, to appreciate, accept every message that will be given to us, every teaching, every knowledge that will be imparted upon every one of us, so that we may welcome the healing of God that He has allowed to be ushered in on the soil of Zambia. Bale sobuno nshivale tupela ala ndati akapala imirimo ya minwe Yesu. Imirimo ya minwe Yesu. Idio twaya mukwa mpana no mushiri mukulima twababalimi nalesa na wabika pwepalo tukabalilepo ukubalilapo ukulubule chalo chesu kubusha bwankongole sha chalo.
In speaking at the same event, Engineer Bernard Chiwala says there is urgent need for the country and its people to change their mindset if the people are to get economically emancipated.
What is bringing Zambia down? It's not lack of professionals well trained. The problem is a hunger. He who works his land will have abundant food. Got fired 3 times working in the public sector, you know, some of you. I went to my garden. I am asking the question, why are you not growing the avocado? In fact, you take care of it for 3 years. It takes care of you for a generation. And that's the idea of generational thinkers.
Camnet TV also spoke to some participants who have attested that their lives will never be the same again after the conference.
And, you know, there's the general trend of us having to move on back to the land and find out how we can empower ourselves and not become work-related or work-dependent, but self-independent by way of going back to the land and exploiting what is out there. The conference has been really, really, really powerful and a game changer for me.
My dream has always been to be empowered here in Zambia, to empower the children that we are caring for. And this conference has answered most of my questions. And as I speak now, I'm so excited and I'm praying that I'll never be the same. Even the organization that we are running, it will never be the same because of what we've learned today. And we pray that the Lord will lead us and guide us.
Overall, the meeting has been very, very grateful. In fact, it's just unfortunate. I remember one of the members who was here said, no, previously Kaunda said we go back to the land, only that there were some sort of arguments. But otherwise, as at now, we only hope for the better, the way how we have learned and empowered, we are going to do the wonders.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News.
We now take our first set of commercials. To stay with us as we have more interesting stories lined up for you. Don't go away.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
I have used Oracle Pure Glycerin for 2 years now. It has really worked for me. It has cleared all the black spots on my face. It has restored my skin beauty. It also smoothens the skin. Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for perfect skin. If it's not Oracle Glycerin, then it's not Pure Glycerin.
You're watching a live broadcast of Camnet TV's main news. Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. In a clear sign of intimidation, police in KASAMA district of Northern Province Tuesday morning harassed Opposition United Party for National Development UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema as he made his way to the magistrate court where his party officials were appearing. Police severally blocked Mr. Hichilema's entourage, causing a stir among the local residents. Traffic was interrupted while emergency vehicles such as ambulances were also affected in the process. Meanwhile, UPND Deputy Secretary General Patrick Mucheleka, who was arrested along with 2 others, have been granted bail after the court amended the indictment, removing the non-bailable offense of aggravated robbery. The 3 now stand charged with the offense of malicious damage.
Firstly, the ruling Patriotic Front PF through former UPND Vice President Geoffrey Walemwamba vowed to ensure that Hakainde Hichilema never stepped a foot in KASAMA district of Northern Province. Well, every Zambian knew that what was said was mere politics, as no single citizen has the right to stop another citizen from visiting any place of his or her own choice. Currently, the opposition leader is in the district where he went to offer solidarity to his party officials who were appearing before the KASAMA Magistrate Court. Mr. Geoffrey Walemwamba was nowhere near to stop him as vowed. The party officials include UPND Deputy Secretary General Patrick Mucheleka, Elias Mubanga and Samuel Ngwira, who were accused of damaging 3 typewriters and a printer valued at 13,970 kwacha, property of the government of the Republic of Zambia. The UPND officials were slapped with a non-bailable offense of aggravated robbery and have been languishing in detention for a month now, while a PF cadre in the name of Emmanuel Banda, who beat up a police officer at Lusaka's Central Police Station, has never spent even a second in detention, as he was only slapped with an offense of aggravated assault. While in KASAMA, police were all over Mr. Hichilema, blocking him at each and every turn he made. At some point, Mr. Hichilema would be blocked even close to 45 minutes while he remained inside his vehicle as his security detail negotiated their way through.
Like the president, you can see how we are being restricted to come to court. Court is a public place. Court is a public place. It's an open court. Court is a public place. It's a place for everybody, all the citizens. That is what the justice system, which is fair, is supposed to be. But when you see the police follow, go and say the other policemen, go and say all the routes by Salah, the country is now under no leadership. That is what is happening.
A distance of only 5 minutes drive from where Mr. Hichilema was lodging to the magistrate court took him close to 2 hours to reach. The police have been deployed in their numbers within KASAMA, but if the opposition party was to apply for a permit to hold a rally in the same district, the answer is always obvious: request denied, as we have no manpower to marshal your event. Police would have responded. While at court, hundreds of KASAMA residents thronged the court premises, mainly to catch a glimpse of the opposition leader.
They want Bali is going
The court amended the charge of aggravated robbery to malicious damage, which has seen the trio being released on bail. The matter has since been adjourned to the 26th to the 27th of November 2020 for commencement of trial. Kalan Muchima reporting for Camnet News.
The National Democratic Congress, NDC, says it has left Wednesday's judgment involving its leader, Chishimba Kambwili, in the hands of God. NDC National Chairman, Father Richard Luonde, says it's only God who has the final say in tomorrow's judgment. Father Luonde prays to God to save his party president, saying at this stage no one can. He says with Miss Dr. Kambwili's case is complicated, but in the eyes of God, the case is simple. Dr. Kambwili is expected to appear in court tomorrow before Magistrate David Semusamba in the case where he is charged with forgery, uttering false documents, and giving false information to a public officer in relation to his company, Mwamona Engineering and Technical Services.
In Lusaka, to come and be witness to what will happen to our president, Dr. Chishimba Kambwili, on the expected judgment that will be passed by Magistrate Semusamba tomorrow. But as NDC and national chairperson for the NDC, I know that our God that we worship has gone before us. And we know that, going by our slogan, which looks to God for whatever we go through, God will be able to arrest, meditate, and pronounce for us. Because with God, nothing is impossible. And it's our prayer that tomorrow, as we go before Magistrate Semusamba, it's not just our president who is going to go before him. It will be the Zambian people. It will be the members of the NDC. For what we want in this nation is for Zambia to return favor with God and begin to walk with God and do things with God. Maybe other parties have failed because God was rated as second to themselves. But as NDC, we are saying God first, and it will ever be God first. Therefore, my fellow Zambians, my fellow members of the NDC, let's continue to meditate and pray that God will be able to pass judgment tomorrow. And that judgment, we cannot pronounce it now, but it will be pronounced by the Creator himself. We pray that our president, despite the difficulties that we are going through, Our coined slogan of laissez-faire will vindicate him and will lead our party forward and claim victory come 2021 and become the rulers of our nation with God in front of us and no any other.
Kaputa Town Council Secretary Moses Mutioka has urged shop owners in the district to ensure that shops are painted by the 31st of December 2020. In that come January 2021, Kaputa Town Council will only issue licenses to the painted business premises. Mr. Mutioka says this directive does not exclude council properties and that the market committee and the council are working on something to beautify the market in order to lead by example. He explains that sanitation is beyond a toilet and that sanitation includes anything that will come out as beautiful in the eyes. The Kaputa Town Council Secretary further says it is in the provision of the law under Chapter 281, which the Local Government Act states that all buildings during the licensing period before entering the new year, buildings must undergo a facelift. Meanwhile, Kaputa Town Council Health Inspector Humphrey Munsanje said there is need for the people of Kaputa to support the local authority for the authority to do a great job on issues of public health. Mr. Musanje further says community support is key in achieving issues of public health and that when the council is doing inspections, the people should be at peace and support the inspectors.
First place, I just want to thank my health inspector, Mr. Musanje Humphrey, for the well-explained program in terms of packaging of public health interventions that actually the council has lined up for this year and the years to come. But in addition to that, we just want to talk about sanitation. Is just beyond the toilet. Sanitation may also include anything which is going to beautify the eyes. And in this case, it's a provision of the law under Chapter 281, which is the Local Government Act, that all buildings before the licensing, during the licensing period, before entering the other new year, they must undergo some painting, some facelifts, so that they look more beautiful and nice. So therefore the package is that all buildings to be painted, and in this regard I'm actually encouraging all trade premises owners, building owners, to make sure that their buildings are painted by 31st December 2020, so that by January 1, 2021, as we start doing the licensing process, buildings only be licensed if they have been painted, so that they look nice. That also goes to council properties as well. Like I know in the market, people may say, what about the market and so forth. So it also goes that council, as council, we're also trying to put our heads together, work with market committees to ensure that that is done. So once it's done, Mr. Ngoma, it's within the law. And it's a requirement of law, like I said, and at the same time it's going to add beauty to our town. It's our town, it's a special place for us, and we have to appreciate it and we have to make it look nice.
The Health Professions Council of Zambia, HPCZ, is concerned about the deteriorating medical standards in the country, especially among medical schools. In a statement issued to Camnet TV, HPCZ has since cautioned lecturers and coordinators of health training programs against continued offering of medical courses without proper observance of standards. HPCZ Registrar and Chief Executive Officer Wembiawalia says lecturers and course coordinators have a moral obligation to promote internal quality assurance practices by ensuring that training institutions are maintaining the required standards. He says compromising medical courses standards has a negative impact on the quality of graduates and subsequently on the patients who will be receiving health services from such graduates when they go into the medical practice.
Lecturers, the coordinators of these programs, you should ensure at all times that you are maintaining the standards. If you have brought matters to the attention of administration and there has not been response, you don't have an option but to write to the Health Professions Council of Zambia so that we can intervene. In the absence of that, when we come on site and we find that the standards have gone down and you did not report, we will consider charging you for professional misconduct, because we see it as a moral obligation by you to ensure that every time you see a drop in the standards, you bring it to the attention of management, and if they don't respond, you bring it to the attention of the regulator. Because we expect at each particular time that when students are in training, quality training is taking place. Anytime this is compromised, it has an impact on the graduate, and it will also impact negatively on people when they go out to practice. So we want to bring an end to this notion of just watching the situation go bad until at the time the council moves in and withdraws the approval of training. So as Health Professions Council of Zambia, we want to make an appeal to students in training institutions that we regulate to ensure that they report any indication of deterioration of standards, because this affects the quality of training. So any indication that is showing that the standards are going down, we expect that the students should be able to report to the council so that we can make interventions, whether the program discontinues until the standards are put in place or suspended altogether.
We take another set of commercials. To stay with us as we have international and sports news.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. In international news, environmentalists in Uganda say a protected rainforest is being destroyed to make way for a sugar plantation. The Bugoma Forest Reserve is home to hundreds of species of animals, including endangered chimpanzees. In other news beyond borders, a criminal investigation is underway after unauthorized ballot boxes began popping up around the state in California. Al Jazeera could not independently verify the images of what are being called fake drop-off boxes, but people are reportedly spotting them near churches and gun shops. They look virtually the same as the official boxes. The Republican Party has admitted to placing them in Los Angeles, Fresno, and Orange counties. California's Secretary of State says the boxes are illegal, but the party is refusing to remove them. We monitored Al Jazeera.
The sort of thing Donald Trump's been talking about without any evidence.
is that Democrats supposedly have been doing this for years. In fact, the reality is there have been less than 1,200 fraudulent ballots in 40 years across all elections. The Republicans who have put out that false charge are actually in danger of carrying out mail fraud, ballot fraud. Because let's be very clear here. These boxes, according to the California Secretary of State and the California Attorney General, are not authorized. They are not allowed under California's provision for collection of ballots, and it does mean that ballots might not be delivered properly to the true election authorities. The general thing that you hear from Republicans such as Donald Trump is to try to suppress voting, to say, look, don't bother voting with mail-in balloting because it's a fraudulent process. And then if Trump loses the election on November 3rd, to try to take legal action to say, well, mail-in balloting is not legitimate. What you have here in California, however, is that they would like Republicans in the state to win office. They have local contests to win. So not only do they say, well, we need mail-in ballots for our people, but they risk what is possible fraud to collect ballots and possibly not distribute them fairly. And it's not just happened in California, because Donald Trump, who said on the one hand, don't allow mail-in balloting, well, guess what? He told Floridians, go out and cast your mail-in ballots as soon as possible for me.
The Bugoma Tropical Rainforest Reserve in western Uganda is home to hundreds of species of trees, some of them rare, and many animals like these baboons. About 500 endangered chimpanzees live here too. Environmentalists say the forest is being destroyed to make way for a sugar plantation. Constantino Tessarin runs a lodge for tourists who come to see the wildlife. He says some of the forest's protection has been removed by irregular court rulings. He's campaigned against it.
It is very uncommon, and probably nowhere else in the world, that we can see a government telling us that in writing and in communication that this is a protected reserve, and that's why people have come to invest, and in the following day that protected reserve ceases to exist without an explanation.
The campaigners say part of the forest has been given to a company called Hoima Sugar. Hoima Sugar says it's using only privately owned grassland next to the forest.
Sustainable development and environmental protection can coexist. Employ Ugandans, contribute to the tax base of this nation while maintaining the biodiversity that is our neighbor. I think the only crime we are committing now is that we are neighbors to Bugoma Forest.
The activists say the site is guarded by Ugandan special forces, and that suggests powerful politicians are involved.
It is because of corruption. The institutions that are given the mandate to protect these resources are actually conniving with other government officials and investors to destroy the resources.
The activists also say Hoima Sugar's owners are hidden and its records have been removed from the public registry.
It's not hidden, it's public knowledge. It's investors.
Who are these investors?
I don't have that off my head. I can research and get back to you. I can check in my files and get the proper names of who is behind Hoima Sugar.
Villagers living around the forest have already cut down some trees to make space to grow sugarcane. They hope to sell to the company. The environmentalists say if nothing is done, the rest of the forest will eventually suffer the same fate. Malcolm Webb, Al Jazeera.
We now have a look at sports news. The Council of Southern African Football Associations, COSAFA, has confirmed that the 2020 Women's Championship will have 8 teams with East African side Tanzania as a guest nation. According to a post on COSAFA's official website, the tournament will be held in Nelson Mandela's Bay between the 3rd and 14th of November, with the competition set to take place behind closed doors due to the COVID-19 restrictions. The tournament tournament is expected to be the first women's international championship staged on the African continent since the COVID-19 pandemic wreaked havoc with the football calendar. COSAFA also went on to reiterate their intention to stage its women's under-17 championship concurrently with the senior competition from November 5th to the 13th. The draws for both championships are scheduled for Tuesday, October 20th, and will be streamed live on COSAFA TV. This story is courtesy of Zamfoot Sports. That sports item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines. State operatives harass HH in KASAMA as hundreds of residents cheer him on at court. NDC members tend to God in KAMBWILI'S judgment case on Wednesday. Government contains the deadly African migratory locusts. And in international news, California probes fake ballot boxes after Republican admission. And in sports news, women's football back in Africa as COSAFA takes center stage. The Camnet World Verse of the Day is coming from the book of Proverbs 27 verse 5, and it reads, "Open rebuke is better than secret love." On behalf of the entire news production crew and myself, Liseli Kanyanga, thank you so much for watching Camnet TV World News on Camnet TV, not just another channel.